play right, cause they can't miss. All about the game, that's a cold switch. Serving up the truth, call it ruthless. Tune in and get your fix from Blake and Vish Sports.
So I guess this is the one we could bring up first. This was from Pinor, so another good question, of course. Is Lamar Jackson the bottom of the elite QB tier? And this year, do you think his progression as a quote-unquote true QB will show now that he has some weapons? I think this is a good question, Vish. What do you think?
Yeah, so bottom of the elite QB tier, probably right. I mean, I think most people's elite QB tier is Rodgers, Mahomes, Allen, Russell Wilson, Deshaun Watson, and then Brady's usually the guy people put in there, just obviously the achievement and the winning achievement and all of that. That's why people put him there. And then Lamar's really the next guy, the next quarterback in that conversation. And I would say, yeah, he's probably right on the precipice. Sometimes you can have him in there. Sometimes he's just off. But guys like him, Dak, Stafford, they're all that next tier, you know. Do I think his progression will show? Absolutely. Believe it or not, I watch a lot of Lamar Jackson, so I can attest to this. He did progress quite a bit as a quarterback last year. He did a lot of really, really good things from the pocket. It's difficult for that to show when, one, they had a bad offensive line last year. They lost Ronnie Stanley early in the year. Matt Skura had moments where he was struggling to snap the ball. The loss of Marshall Yanda was really, really big on their interior offensive line. It was not that good of an offensive line. Second of all, they had very, very poor receiving options outside of Mark Andrews. Obviously, the passing ability of Lamar Jackson outside the numbers, I feel like gets overly nitpicked because there's a lot of quarterbacks in the NFL that aren't the best outside the numbers, and I think Lamar is better than he is given credit for. But people really just don't like Lamar for whatever reason. But that's besides the point. But outside of Mark Andrews, they didn't have anybody that you could really say is a legitimate guy that's going to consistently beat man-to-man coverage and win. And I think it's better now. I mean, Sammy Watkins, when he's healthy, is a guy that can do that. He's never healthy, so I don't know what to expect from that. It seems like Marquise Hollywood Brown is having a pretty good camp, so maybe that'll be better. Rashad Bateman, I saw some videos of him looking nice in camp. He got eating Marlon Humphrey and stuff, and he got injured. So I think if it's all there, I think it'll show. But I think at some point the limitations of a Greg Roman pass game, they do. And I know they've had passing game coordinators and stuff, but they need something to up the X's and O's in their pass game, because Lamar is mentally quite good, in my opinion, at least as a quarterback, way better than people give him credit for, at least. And if they can give him maybe a little more cutting edge pass game that really schemes people open, I think people would be shocked on his ability to dice up people from the pocket. Then you add the element of the fact that he might be the most explosive ball carrier in the league.
Definitely. So I would put him, I think I had him with you. Like, I'd put him as my sixth best quarterback, probably. Kind of same list as you. I know some people have Tom at like 2 or 3. I can't buy into that. I don't know. I get the achievement stuff, but yeah, I can't put him there. I would have him at 6. And I just think, like, I would love to see him with an elite receiver. Like, we know Mahomes has Tyreek, Rodgers has Devontae Adams, Matt Ryan had Julio, Kyler and Deshaun Watson have had Hopkins. Like, we've seen other great quarterbacks with those elite receiving threats. We have never seen Lamar with even, I'd say, a great receiving threat. Mark Andrews is a really good tight end. I'd say he's one of the 10 best tight ends in the league, good receiver. But he is just not, I don't know. He really just not like a great number one option for a passing attack, although he is good. They drafted Bateman, who could be something. He unfortunately got injured, and he's been injured the last few years, which is concerning. Hollywood Brown didn't pan out. Watkins, I mean, I feel like Watkins is still living off some of the hype that he got, but I don't know. I don't really buy him staying healthy for a whole season, and it's tough because you would expect, I guess, better stats or better output from his passing game, considering we have him that high, but it is tough with what they have. And I think also just the run, you have to account for the running aspect with him. And yeah, it maybe isn't everything that goes into a quarterback, but you can't just entirely dismiss it, because we all saw what he did against the Titans when he had that huge 50-yard run when their offense looked terrible. They couldn't do anything, and he just burst right up the middle and ran one of the just best runs I think I've ever seen. And considering just the moment and that it took place. But yeah, I would put him there, and I think I still don't think they have great weapons, to be quite frank with you. I know they tried to add some, but I'm not the biggest proponent. I think Bateman could be solid, though. I think he's the guy that if any of these guys are going to be really good to great to elite, he will be the one.
Right, and they have other guys too, right? They've drafted a lot of receivers later in the draft, like Devin Duvernay. They drafted in the third round. They drafted James Proche, but I mean, we'll see what those guys become. I'm not 100% there with their weapons. I'm maybe a little more happy with their offensive line. I mean, any offensive line getting Ronnie Stanley back is humongous.
Yes.
And then of course the Kevin Zeitler addition will be very helpful. But I still don't look at it as they have this fantastic supporting cast around Lamar Jackson, and that's really important because when we're talking elite tier QBs, yeah, he has a really good defense, but the support around Lamar Jackson in the last 2 years has been widely overstated. People really act like Lamar Jackson's got, a super, super duper team. But I mean, it's Mark Andrews is an above average tight end, in my opinion. The receiving room been a question mark, and it continues to be a question mark. The offensive line, the year he won MVP, was phenomenal. Last year was not that good. And then the running backs are good, but there is an element for me of how good are these running backs if you don't add the element of Lamar Jackson and the amount of space he creates for running backs in the run game.
His gravity, you could say. Although I hate that. Yeah. It is true. Any running back, when there's a running quarterback, they're going to benefit from, say, a read option when they're running right up the middle and there's not a defensive end just waiting to tackle them, it helps a lot.
Right, 100%. And yeah, somebody mentioned they have running back depth. They have good receiver weapons. I mean, Sammy Watkins plays 3 games a season. Rashard Bateman's a rookie who's injured, and Hollywood Brown has not been very good. I mean, Hollywood Brown, everybody rips on the N'Keal Harry pick. They took Hollywood Brown over A.J. Brown, DK Metcalf, Deebo Samuel, Terry McLaurin as well. That was a terrible draft pick.
Yeah, Bateman's an unknown. I think he's the only guy that I would consider out of those guys that could actually live up to be somewhat of a reputable wide receiver one. Because from what we've seen so far, I don't think Brown is. Clearly, Sammy Watkins has not been, although if you remember, he was hyped as a generational receiver. And
I thought he was awesome a generational receiver prospect, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But, yeah.
We'll see.
Definitely. And